Welcome back to Salem GASWorks. We are a guild of artistic sorts. We are the arts and entertainment network of the North Shore.
And welcome to episode 5. Now on GASWorks, we visit each time with performing and visual artists and in what's clearly a no-frills setting. And as I always say, if you're flipping the dials, don't pass gas. Come on in. Stay a while. And this time, our artistic sorts are Nickie and Charlie Farr, who are the band Old Saw. And later on, we'll visit with author and publisher and historian and illustrator Chris Dowgin. Now, if you don't know who I'm talking about, I think you'll know who he is when you see him, if you're from Salem. So,
he's everywhere.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is, and a very multi-talented man. So here we are with Old Saw. Now, first question, okay, and I've asked this before of duos. The Eurythmics is taken, there already worked some Carpenters, and you wind up settling for Old Saw. Yeah. How'd you arrive at Old Saw?
Oh, wow. We had so many, I think
we had our friends trying to help us out.
Yeah. We made you scratch some ideas down. We would go to gigs and we would say, oh my gosh, we have to come up with a better name. We have to come up with a better name. And we were Nickie, Farr, and the
Outland Rats.
Yeah, for a while.
I like that one.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't quite there.
It wasn't quite there. Although we were the country rats for a while, and people wanted to be a country rat, but we aren't really like straightforward country, so it doesn't really. So the Outland Rats was a little more like, ooh, the Outland Rats. Mm-hmm. But then, it just didn't. So it didn't work. So we were looking. We finally came down to looking in the thesaurus one day.
Yeah,
and we were like looking at like fable. Story.
Something to describe what our music was about.
Like a storyteller.
Oh, yeah.
Storytelling. So
And there it said, Old
Saw.
Saw.
Oh,
yeah.
Is a story.
Know, right?
It's a story or a fable told over and over again. Or, saws are, sometimes they're cliches or what have you. But yeah, and then we were like, Old Saw, that sounds cool.
We rejoiced.
We did.
Wow.
We toasted each other because I have a feeling there was some sort of adult beverage happening at that point too. So, but there it is,
Great.
and
Well,
Just
it's
know
also, it's got an Americana feel to it, and Charlie was telling me earlier, I was asking him, how should we introduce you? You're this kind of band, and you really kind of defy any pigeonhole, but Americana is the closest, I think you said, right?
Yeah. We like to think of ourselves as sort of even an alternative Americana, because there's a lot of jazz influence from Nickie's background, and a bit of a rock influence from my background. So, jazz, blues, country type of
fusion.
on acoustic instruments and whatnot. So,
So they're joining us fresh, actually, and probably still tired from a Mason-Dixon tour.
A little mini tour.
So incredible.
Well, a mini tour of where? West Virginia, right?
West Virginia and Maryland.
Yeah.
We went with another band. We opened for them. They're Liz Frame and the Kickers.
Liz Frame and the Kickers.
These amazing friends of ours, artists. And Charlie's been playing drums for them for a few months now. So we all packed ourselves into cars and
tightly
with all our equipment, and we drove 11 hours out there. The first night we played at the Purple Fiddle.
The Purple Fiddle was a great place. It's got a great stage.
And Purple Fiddle is where?
It's in Thomas, West Virginia.
Thomas, West Virginia.
In the middle of just these beautiful mountains. And there's like no one around. And I'm thinking, ooh, nobody's going to come out to this. And then all of a sudden at night, the place opens up and people come in and eat and drink, and it was amazing.
Good time.
Oh, and then we stayed in the hostel upstairs. So it was just this great, we got offered moonshine.
Oh yeah, we got a strawberry moonshine.
We didn't take it. We were like,
Now what about banjo? Not your banjo, your pup. What'd you do with pup during the tour?
The puppy, he
dog
stayed
named
with
Banjo.
friends. He
He
stayed with some friends.
Okay.
He did,
So he didn't tour with
that
you.
was the only, we were
It's a little
planning on
heartbreaking.
taking him, but it just was a little, for the first one. For the next
Yeah.
one, we'll definitely.
So you're in a hostel. Who got the upper bunk?
I know, exactly, right?
We lucked out. We actually got a
private
bed.
room.
Wow.
They gave us a
I
little,
know.
Now this is amazing. Everybody who's a musician, I imagine, has got to just fantasize about touring. It's pretty gritty, huh?
Yeah.
It is very gritty and a lot of convenience store food.
Yeah.
Which, you kind of have to settle for. Like, wow, I didn't quite see myself eating that. But, and a lot of hand sanitizer.
Really?
It was rest stops and
It was a lot of driving. Martin Sexton said live one time. He goes, they don't pay me to play music. They actually pay me to travel. So, someday
seriously.
someone might pay us to travel, but but it's a lot of traveling. But what a great time! We were a great group of people.
And
we want to do it again soon.
I'm sorry to react like that, but I didn't realize that you knew Martin, but he was a friend of mine from years ago. So yeah.
No, I don't know him personally.
We
Although
saw him
Martin,
live
if you're
last
watching,
year.
it would be really cool.
Beautiful.
But we saw him live.
Yeah.
And then we stayed, the other 2 nights we stayed with some beautiful folks who opened their homes to us and fed us after these incredibly long hours and
Fantastic.
in the car. And we had we'd wake up and we'd all drink a ton of coffee and have this beautiful food and then rehearse all day. And then we would go in, Charlie and I would open the show, and then Liz Frame and the Kickers would play, and we would just play into the morning.
Wow.
And then we would do it all again, like get in the car and go to Maryland. And
So how long was this tour? How
4 days.
4 days
Yeah, just
packed.
4 days.
When we say mini, we mean mini.
Yeah.
Mini tour. Okay.
Today was a micro tour because we came back to Salem.
Is there like a concert chart with just 2 little venues on the upper left shoulder?
Yeah,
Know where
baby.
they got them all listed?
This is only the beginning.
So now brand new CD.
Brand new CD.
Brand new
Yes.
CD.
Yes,
And what's
yes.
the name?
We are wearing it out, first of all, just
Yeah.
to say that.
Oh,
We're wearing
yay.
it out. And I listened to it over and over again last night, getting ready for the show.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. Thank you
It's
very much.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's called Revelations.
Revelations.
And and it can be picked up on online, basically at iTunes and cdbaby.com.
On CD Baby?
CD Baby, yeah.
Okay.
And that can even bought through our website and stuff like that as well.
Might as well tell them now.
OldSawTheBand.com.
Old Saw the Band.
OldSawTheBand.com, and also on Facebook. We're Old Saw on Facebook, and you can pick it up there too. There's a little
Like us on
music store.
Facebook.
Oh
we
yes.
we do lots of interaction with people on Facebook.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
So look for Old Saw on Facebook. Now, here's a thing: is that you were a Salem State graduate in theater.
Yes.
In '97, was it?
It was, yep.
And this is the second great songstress we've had sitting in these chairs who graduated Salem State in theater.
Yes.
And I'll ask you what I asked her. Did theater inform your singing? Do you think you're a better singer because you're a trained actress? I believe yes.
I think so. Yeah, actually, the best compliment I got, I was doing summer theater at Salem State, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, and a girlfriend of mine from the cast said, "Oh, I'm just so sad you're not doing more theater, and we really miss you on the stage, and because I don't have time with the music." And so she came out to see us play later that night, and she said, "Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
You're still telling stories."
Yes. Oh, isn't that a great one?
Yeah. And it was really cool to hear that from a fellow thespian.
Yeah.
To hear like, "Oh, I get it now. You're still doing that thing."
Yeah,
It's just
it's just a different
A
channel.
great
Yeah.
singer sells a song. They don't, and there are those who just don't. I think your voice is marvelous, but there are some. Their voices are nothing special. It's the performance. It is the almost the acting, the theater of it.
Selling
And it
of the
helps
song.
with the writing too. When you think of like when you're a character and you're sight, smell, taste, all those things. I also took creative writing with Bill Cunningham at Salem State, and he taught me just beautiful things that has still to this day really helped my songwriting.
Great.
And so I'm eternally grateful for that entire program there.
Now here we've got this Americana sounding band, and one thing always drives me nuts is when somebody all of a sudden decides they're country, like Gwyneth Paltrow. No, you're not. No, you're not. And Charlie is actually, I think he's got some cred here. Charlie is a forester. Is that right? Or
I did do. I was an arborist for a while for a couple of companies in New Hampshire,
Yeah.
and I now actually, I don't do that anymore to try and do more music, and I actually work with Nickie, so we work together in a
Wow.
cleaning business.
You did climb trees.
I did climb trees, yes.
You were in
I
forest.
wielded a chainsaw. I definitely, did all that thing. And it was a good time.
Yeah, yeah, and it was funny. He came out to a Halloween party actually a couple of years ago at our house, and we got these nasty berries all over our yards that not even the squirrels were eating. I say, Charlie, what the hell is this? I think it was dog berries. He told me. Nasty things come back every 3 years. They're back. You'll see.
A man can tell you what your trees are.
Yeah.
Last question. We're running out of time now. Duos they work together a few years, and they always do one or two things. So what's going to be first? A very old saw Christmas or old saw sings Sinatra?
Ooh. I thought you were going like drug addiction
Oh,
or.
Maybe that.
I think both of those things could actually be in a future. Who knows?
I'd love to do a Christmas
very
album.
diplomatic.
Christmas would be cool, definitely. If
That would be fun.
Bowie's done one.
Sure.
A lot of rock people have done
Yeah.
them, so
Sure.
why not?
You're in good
A
company.
very old saw Christmas, huh?
Yeah.
I wonder what that would look like.
Yeah, handing each other a present with Santa hats and this. They all look like that,
Yeah.
Well, before we cut away, any shout-outs to people who play with you who aren't here today?
Oh yeah, we miss you, Julie Alexander.
Yes, totally.
She's on the record,
She's on
and
Ben Alexander as well. is
Ben
on the
Alexander, her
record.
husband.
And we've
play with
heard them play with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we play with them a lot during the winter time. They're the Alexanders, and we love them. We miss you.
A friend of ours who plays on the record, John Wilkins, played upright bass on some of the songs. So
Scott
shout out.
Foster.
Scott Foster plays guitar.
Plays guitar on a tune, and
so
his
we had
wife-
a group of friends who helped him make the record. So
His wife, this is great, painted our CD cover.
Oh,
I love that
marvelous,
cover.
yeah.
It's
So
got the
Esther
trees,
Foster.
it's got the little
yeah,
heart.
she just listened to the CD over and over again, and
Yeah.
So we're going to have to cut away, I'm afraid. So look for oldsawtheband.com. Is that right? I get it right. Look for Old Saw on CD Baby, and the CD is Revelations. And did you want to say something? I'm sorry.
Well, no, I just briefly, what songs are you going to perform for us?
the first one is Gethsemane.
Gethsemane. Okay.
We're going to do Desires and Not Quite a Train Wreck.
3 of my favorites.
Okay.
Great, great. So we're going to let you get ready, and we'll just give the audience a little information that they need to move forward. And
Hopefully Justin made it.
yeah, I know.
Hopefully he
Justin,
made
our
it through
bass
the-
player, is
Justin
en route,
Greenberg.
so
Yeah.
hopefully he'll join us. On,
Yeah.
no, he'll be.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he's here. He's here.
So folks, let's hear Old Saw with 3 tunes from their CD.
Great. Okay. So if you are interested in following Old Saw as well as some of the other artists that we've had, you can follow us also on Facebook at Salem GASWorks. You can also find us, if you're not on Facebook, you can also find us on Salem-GASWorks.com, and we will keep you updated on Old Saw as well as all the other artists that we've had and will continue to have on the program. I think they're ready. It looks like they're ready, and Justin is here. And
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
Old Saw.
It wasn't that night when my lover said goodbye. Wasn't seeing this dark world, feeling like a child. No, 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 no. But that moment I turned away from me. That was my moment in Gethsemane. It wasn't when my family left me all alone. Not those lonesome nights when there was nobody home. No, 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 but that moment I turned away from me. That was my moment in Gethsemane. I never did read the Gospels of old. My Bible's dusty, its lessons untold. But now I understand the struggle of that man. He learned firsthand living life with fear was worse than any death child. Hey. Yeah. 'Cause it wasn't that night my lover said goodbye. It wasn't seeing this dark world feeling like a child. No, no, no. But that moment I turned away from me. That was my moment in Gethsemane. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is a song that I wrote before Charlie and I were even dating, and this was my manifesting my husband's song, and it worked. So now he plays it with me. Justin, too, although we're not married. But
It's not your job.
yeah, it's
Can I
just
say that?
2, 3, 4. Lately, I've been trying to gather all those pieces I scattered, but in the midst of all this cleaning, I can't decipher the meaning no more. So you think that you know me? You're just dying to show me, but baby, you don't even know how lovely you are. Yet I'm supposed to find redemption in those arms, but I want babies and sunsets and rain on the rooftops. Give me daisies, lazy Sundays, and sweet whispers that it's all right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you said I could have it. Just need to reach out and grab it. So enough looking back, let's rise above. Grab my hand, baby, let's fall in love. 'Cause I want babies and sunsets, yeah, and rain on the rooftops. Give me whispers that it's alright. So, baby, is that sunset and rain on the rooftops. Give me daisies, lazy Sundays, and sweet whispers that it's alright.
All right.
We have one more for you this evening.
So this next song is a song that we wrote for a friend of ours' wedding. They wanted to put a CD together with all of their friends' music on it, and Nickie's songs that she had written were a little bit. They're all breakup songs basically. So so we were like, I don't think that'll be good for your wedding. So we wrote this song for it instead. I tripped on a bottle of whiskey or two, had my eye on a lost cause, looking for a love that's true. Not quite a train wreck, though I've been on the rails. She came along and took my breath, pushing away the veil. Lord knows I'm no angel, though I've got my share of faults. Love I feel for my baby just rides in my soul before too long.
I tripped on a promise, a whisper or two. Spent my time on a lost cause when all I wanted was you. Not quite a shipwreck, I was sinking low. Then he came along and took my breath. Now I'm headed home. Lord knows I'm no angel, though I've got my share of faults. Love I feel for my baby just rides in my soul before too long. Yeah.
Let's bring it.
Lord knows I'm no angel, though I've got my share of faults. Love I feel for my baby just rides in my soul before too long. Lord knows I'm no angel, though I've got my share of faults. Love I feel for my baby just rides in my soul before too long. Just rides in my soul before too long. Just rides in my soul before too long.
That was marvelous. Thank you, folks. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
And this is the first we've met Justin Greenberg, who is a hero. Here we are in a comfortable little studio. Out there is Salem during Halloween month, and Justin came from the relative peace of Dover, New Hampshire, to be with us today. And we found what's not a legal spot, and I'm pretty sure your car's there. But, you know, we'll find out.
The perks you get with playing with Old Saw.
Yeah, everybody thinks the music
code, maybe.
biz is glamorous. Yeah. I've always wondered about the basses. You know how they have the practice drum kit that's really just this little flat thing shaped like a pizza?
Yep.
Is there practice? No?
Everyone hears me.
Yeah. That
Thank
is
God.
full grown. That is full grown. Well, thank you folks very much for those. We'll be back in a minute with Chris Dowgin.
Hi, it's October in Salem, the world headquarters of Halloween, where all thoughts turn to witches and other disembodied spirits. But I want to tell you where to find the very best out-of-body experience in town. It's right here, in the theater. Someone smart once said the goal of all theater is to drag the audience on stage. Now, this may sound a little bit extreme, but when the work is good, this is essentially what happens. As we sit and watch the players before us, slowly but surely we begin to forget ourselves. Gradually, we morph into a convention of cryptographers, all struggling to crack the code, to gather all the clues, the glint in an eye, the curl of a lip, the revealing gesture, the moment of betrayal. And for a while, usually around the last 7 minutes of the play, we're having a kind of out-of-body experience. Our entire world is on this stage with these people at this imagined time. It's quite simply an extraordinary experience. And this is where you can find it, in the theater.
Welcome back. I am going to have to put my glasses on and do my school marm look here because we are with Salem's true Renaissance man, Chris Dowgin, and we have a lot to talk about today. Okay. Before we talk about anything, though, I feel that I just have to tell you that you were absolutely instrumental in the work that we have been continuing to do, but we started 3 years ago on Artist Row. And I remember talking to you about what we were trying to accomplish on the Row with the charter that we had for the city. And we were a little frustrated at that moment because we had been told you can't get artists to play on the Row for free. And you didn't say a word. You just picked up your cell phone and you dialed it and said, "This is Dan. This is Kevin. This is Matt." And you just kept doing it. And I think in 7 minutes we probably had 7 different artists. And just your generosity in that moment, just like your character in your trilogy that guides people through, you just opened up a whole world. And I want to thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. That was very
And
generous.
also, happy anniversary.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know everybody, and everybody knows you. And I want to shine a special spotlight on you today because you are so generous with the connections that you give people. You're constantly just thinking about how to help people, do what they need to do to make it all happen here in Salem.
If I lean back, I could probably get a halo.
A little halo effect over here.
And did I not say, if you don't know who I'm talking about, you will know him when you see him?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So we're here to talk specifically about a couple of hats that you wear. That is artist, illustrator, and author, and also tour guide. So let's start off with talking about let's just talk briefly. You have a children's book out there called Gang Stories. Can you tell us a little bit about Gang Stories?
Yeah, Gang Stories is the adventure of 4 stuffed animals in the middle of the night and what they get up to. It's a emergent reader, I think they call it, where the child gets to make up a new story every time he goes through each of the 4 tales. There's no words besides 1 page that if you haven't figured it out by the 3rd story, the 3rd story is actually going to tell you you are supposed to be telling your own stories. You look into these pictures and create your stories. And every time you open up the book, you should create a new story. And the one who's introducing this is a bear named Guff. And Guff has hair in his eyes and he can't read. So you will see his pictorial analysis, or what he thinks the Great Gatsby is, and it has nothing to do with the Great Gatsby.
Right.
So
that's the way children do experience books when they first pick them up, is just make the stories up because they can't read it. But you're also, what I like is encouraging kids to bring themselves immediately to a book, which is ideally what we do as readers. I would love to talk about the trilogy that you have: A Walk Through Salem, A Walk Above, A Walk Under Salem, and now you have a new one coming out.
It's coming out. It's Walk Above Salem.
A Walk Above Salem. So can you tell us a little bit about your, what is the through line, what's your concept behind this trilogy?
It starts off that you go to the Salem Commons and there's a unzipping tree. And there's this flagpole that has a light on the gazebo, shines on it, and casts this long shadow across the commons and straight up the middle of this tree.
And this is really there.
It's really there. Every night at dusk, you can go and look at this shadow. And just imagine this giant zipper that will come down and zip it in half, and the gears spin, the skin in the tree pulls back, and fairies jump out. And then you meet this old man named Mr. Zach, which is your tour guide through this journey. And he brings you into this magical, whimsical world of Salem, where Vikings storm Dead Horse Beach, churches blast off like rocket ships, there's flying fish, a bunch of magical, whimsical things. And the little secret about it is it takes a lot from the traditional fairy tale cycle, and Joseph Campbell's The Journey of the Hero. So it's a very subtle psychological tale. Same way that George Lucas read Joseph Campbell and made an instant hit. Taking the same stages are supposed to happen to bring you into this world that George Lucas and Joseph Campbell had
And fairy tales in general.
Fairy tales always have this certain cycle, like why Pinocchio is always someone's favorite. You know, it's the same story as Jonah and the Whale. It's when you get lost for a period of time and you get lost into a sea, which is simply subconsciousness. A whale swallows you, and the whale then takes you on the night journey that the sun takes that you can't see. It's underwater. It's like, you know, the sun's usually above ground, but then at night it kind of goes under things, just like you and the whale, and you're going to go back to the east to start over again. So it's that journey. So there's a bunch of things in all three stories that will wake you up to yourself.
So symbols and archetypes. And then the thing that's wonderful is they're all happening in Salem. When you look through these pages, what I love about the book, if people aren't familiar with them, is there are all things in Salem that you don't necessarily notice on a day-to-day basis. But after looking at this book, you're like, oh, there's, again, the tree, there's that rooftop, there's that, you know, whatever, all of these little things that are pointed out in the story, but also familiar faces.
Yes. A lot of the characters in the stories are just locals that I know, and I turn them into these characters. Some of them historical, some are fairy tale oriented. But once you bring yourself into this world and then you walk around town, you're still in the world because you actually will see the characters walking past you. It's kind of like that Wizard of Oz thing where, you know, you were there and you were there and you were there with the farmers or the farmhands. And as you read the story, and there's also a walking tour that goes along with it, so you can go to the actual house that the illustration is taken from, open it up and look at how I transformed it. So it's meant to bring you further into the story as you walk through the town and actually see the spots. There's a map at the beginning.
And so there's a map at the beginning, and there are places that are marked. I've been noticing recently in town, like Rockefeller's has the little zipper tree. And so it's a scavenger hunt. That's what's brilliant about what you do, is that when we see you everywhere, but at the same time you're just taking everything in and just kind of
mishing it back together in a little compact package for you in a fun way.
In a fun way. That's a great way of putting it.
So if you look at the outside of these buildings, there'll be these unzipping tree stickers, and then they'll welcome inside, and you'll be able to see original illustrations from the story and also learn about the process of how an illustration is created. So there'll be different sketches and photographs, and then you'll see the finished picture.
Oh, so they can actually go see your work in these places.
Oh,
that's
so what are some of these places?
There's Rockefeller's, there's the Harry Potter shop that's on Essex Street, the Witch Museum. Who else keeps up? The Pig's Eye has some up there. Wakening Guild on the Wharf. Those are some of the places. Artemisia Botanica's on Hawthorne Boulevard.
And yet there are a lot more than these places featured in your book and in your books. I want to talk also about the walking tours that you have beyond a walk through Salem. You've got 2 really fun tours in town. A friend of mine took one recently with you. Can you tell us about the tours that you're doing?
Sure. There's the first one. I'll start off. We've had smuggling tunnels in Salem since probably like the 1600s.
Smuggling tunnels?
Tunnels.
Oh, okay.
Probably originally started with people running molasses so they can make rum later. It's an old tradition, even stemming all the way as far as New Jersey, that the surest way to make a quick fortune would be like a customs inspector. You would make more money than the governor because of all the bribes that you were receiving. So it was an old standard that they had here in Salem, going back smuggling against the Brits. And then we have a new country, and especially around the time period of Jefferson. This is where more of the book I wrote, Salem Secret Underground and History of the Tunnels in Salem, comes in.
Say that name of that book again?
It's Salem Secret Underground,
Salem Secret Underground.
The History of the Tunnels
The
in
History of
City.
the Tunnels. And where can people find this book?
This is at the Harry Potter shop on Essex Street. It's at the Crafters Market on Pickering Wharf. The Witch Museum sells it, and you can get it online.
Okay.
Amazon or CreateSpace.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. And we can also help people connect with you?
Yeah.
Who
And-
want, okay.
And Chris takes you down into these raw tunnels, under these
Yeah.
incredible places.
Parts of them.
Where are some places in Salem that have tunnels underneath them?
The most accessible one is if you can, I don't know, if you're female, smile pretty to a bouncer or something like that, or get to know the owners at what's now Rockefeller's, the old Daniel Lowe building, and the site of the first church in the country was there.
Have you been able to smile pretty and get down there?
Unfortunately, I just knew a very big, burly bouncer, and he was a friend, so I didn't really,
You didn't
know.
have to smile pretty.
No, I don't think he wanted me to either, but he allowed me to go down, and Frank, who's the head bouncer over there, and take all the pictures of the different tunnel entrances
Yeah.
and things and trapdoors down there. But it's the only one that's left that you can actually go from the Daniel Lowe's building to the guy's treasure chest. And it was refitted in, like, say, the 20s by Daniel Lowe when he took over the whole building. You know, there was a bank there, and it was his, and the church was upstairs. But when he took it all over, he wanted an access way to his warehouse, where that building is now. The goddess treasure chest is in a sunken storefront.
The goddess treasure, oh, the goddess treasure chest down underneath there?
Yeah.
Oh.
So you can walk from her shop to Rockefeller's.
Oh,
So
really?
if people go on this tour with you, you give them all these little secret little places,
Yeah.
again, like the tour guide in your trilogies.
Yeah, Mr. Zach.
That your work is full of mysteries and little secrets and fun. That's great. So can I ask you, how extensive, how far do these tunnels go from the wharf? Or originally, how far did they go?
About 3 miles.
About 3 miles.
They will go from the Salem Ferry on Blaney Street. They will go out to March Street on Bridge Street Neck. And then the furthest they will go is on Boston Street, a house past AOH.
Wow, this is serious smuggling.
Yeah, it kind of found out that it would have been easier to find the houses that weren't connected than the ones that were.
Oh.
Okay, interesting.
True or false? The great old names of Salem were all smuggling families.
Yeah, I'll say William Parker, the father of the Parker Brothers Game Company.
Sure.
His tunnel was underneath his granite steps. He, with Benjamin Hawks, had bought the Hawks house next to the Derby house across from Pickering Wharf, Derby Wharf there.
Sure.
And in old pictures, it was twice the size, because originally Derby used this house. He had this grand house he was going to move into, and never did, because that's where he was keeping all his smuggle stuff when he was a privateer.
Oh boy, so I have a feeling we're going to have to protect Chris after revealing these big dark secrets on Salem GASWorks. I am getting the signal that we have to start to wrap it up, but before we do that, I want to make sure that people also I want to invite you back, is what I want to do, because I know that one of the things that you've revisited recently is live painting, and it's not something new to you. You've been doing it since the early 90s with a band that you were doing?
Yeah, the Bogus Quartet.
The Bogus Quartet. And so who do you do it with now?
The last one I did it was at the Salem Jazz and Soul Festival.
I saw pictures of that. Well, you sold one of your paintings there.
The last year I did, yes.
Okay. It was huge.
Yeah,
so
that's
these
6 foot by 9 foot.
Okay.
And it's a mixture of Keystone Cops meets sword fighting and dancing and painting.
Okay.
So you just don't sit there and paint, you kind of just
Move with it,
Move
which
around
is,
and-
yeah, we got to get the camera on you when you do that.
Yeah.
So let's have you come back to do that.
And if that isn't interesting enough, he also plays exotic wind instruments, and beautifully, I may add, a couple of nights. One night, and this is how I discovered about him. It's a foggy night. I'm walking my dog, and I hear this mysterious sounding music, and sounded
beautiful.
almost, to me, a little supernatural. I thought,
Yeah.
oh, a lot of great ghost stories start like this.
Yeah.
I go through the fog, and there's Chris on a bench
Yeah.
practicing.
Yeah. So you never know.
So I do tours of the old Essex Bank building, which is now has a gathering there. It's every Thursday, so 8 o'clock.
Every Thursday at 8 o'clock at the gathering.
At the gathering. It's
Okay.
meet inside. It's $15, and tour the trap doors. It's the secret door in the wall, the 2 tunnel entrances, and also originally was 6 separate buildings that they've made into one large basement. So you get to actually see parts of the original tunnel in between those old buildings in the basement.
Wonderful.
All the old vaults.
Great.
And this haunted too, so it's fun.
Okay.
Fantastic.
So we will make sure, anybody who wants to make sure, I mean, there's a lot of ways to find you. You're up and above and below and around all over Salem.
Yeah.
But we can also make sure that you're connected through GASWorks. We
Yes.
can invite folks to look at our archives, and we'll make sure that, and connect with us so we can all just
Tell me.
connect the connector.
Okay.
Yeah.
So alas, we've got to wrap it up. But we'll be back in a couple of weeks with episode 6. So folks, thanks for joining us tonight. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you,
And
Chris.
happy anniversary
Yeah,
again.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
5 years. Night.